Jose Raul Capablanca, one of the greatest chess players of all time, used Danish Gambit to beat several good chess players. You wonder how? Watch this video till the end. Danish Gambit is one of the most interesting and trickiest chess openings that you can use it in your own games, especially in rapid and blitz games, and especially against amateur players. In this opening, white starts the game with e4, and after e5, instead of the most popular move knight f3, which is also the best move, white can play the risky d4 move, which attacks the black center with a pawn. This move forces black to take this pawn because there is no other good way to defend the center. And after this, white plays c3, which offers another pawn to black. This thing in chess called gambit. Gambit means to sacrifice material to gain something else. For example, to take control over the center, to be ahead in development, to get more space. This is the main aim of the chess gambits that many players used it in chess history. But in Danish Gambit, you can see it at its extreme level because white sacrifices two pawns to gain control over the center and to be ahead in development. What I mean is after d takes c3, white is not recapturing the pawn, but instead develops his bishop to c4 to take control over center and to complete his development, and it allows black to take b2, but after bishop takes b2, white has a great control over the center and his pieces are developed much faster than black. Capablanca used this opening in several games in his simultaneous exhibitions with great success. In this position, the best black move is to play d5, and I will come back to how black should play against Danish Gambit in the end of this video, but here I'm going to show you the games that Capablanca won. Most of his opponents played bishop to b4 check. They tried to use a check to develop their pieces, and Capablanca plays knight c3 and knight f6. This is not a bad way for black to play, and here white plays knight d2, and you can see white developed his four pieces and is ready to castle and everything is good. In one of his games, his opponent was too greedy in this position and he decided to take the third pawn. I mean, why on earth you should take this pawn? Because you took already two pawns and you don't need to take another pawn to be ahead in material. You should have played d6 or castle, which was better moves. But in this game, black played knight d4 and Capablanca played castle very calmly, and here the problems start for black because white threats to play knight takes e4 and to grab black's knight. In this game, black took knight takes c3 and Capablanca recaptured with a knight. And his opponent played bishop c3. One of his opponents, which was not a good player, plays bishop c3. And after bishop c3, I'm sure that black is completely lost here. Because look at these two bishops. They are dominating the whole board. And in this game, black just simply castled. And stop the video here and see if you can find the mate for the white pieces. In this position, Capablanca played queen to g4, threatening mate in 1. And after g6, he just simply played queen to d4, another threat of mating 1, and there is no defense for this because black cannot move his pawn because bishop is pinned the pawn and black is checkmate. So this is one of the games. We will see another game of Capablanca in a minute, but there is another game that one player here castled, and this game is also very interesting, and you can saw a very beautiful combination. White played knight d5. Once again, you can see that white's bishops are very active and they're attacking the black king, and his knight is also dominating the squares. And in this position, white has several good moves, but white found an excellent combination here, and here he sacrifices his knight on f6, a brilliant move. That when black takes the knight, white plays queen to g4 check. Black has to play king h8 and now queen to h4, attacking the f6 pawn, and black has to defend it. And after bishop e7, and you see checkmate for white in this position. Yes, of course, white plays bishop d3 and h7 will be taken with checkmate because there is no f5 because this bishop is pinned this pawn and this is game over for black. So it was another beautiful game, but it was not Capablanca game, of course. Another game which played in Capablanca games, his opponent played castle and Kappa castled, and his opponent played knight to c6. He tried to develop his pieces, but it's already very hard for black to play because white here played his knight to d5, creating multiple threats. He wants to take on f6, he wants to take on b4, and he creates more tension in the position. I don't know how exactly black should continue in this position, and I'm not a fan of black position, so we will not discuss how he should play here. He took on e4, he was too greedy, of course, he opened the bishop diagonal, and here Capablanca bring his other knight to the center. He's threatening knight takes c6 and then knight takes b4, which is a nasty threat, and he's also opened the diagonal for his queen to join the attack on the king side. In the game, black played a sharp and tactical move. He played his knight to d2, attacking the bishop and attacking the rook. And if Capablanca tries to win the bishop, he is not able because black plays knight takes c4 and black is completely okay. He's 3 pawns up, you should be very careful. But the one and only Capablanca here launched a very great attack. He put his knight on f5, another great idea that attacks g7 and it creates queen g4 threats. For example, if black take the bishop, then white plays queen to g4, he's threatening to mate. With 3 pieces, he's attacking this little pawn, and after g6, you can see the checkmate. I'm sure it is knight to h6 and the game is over. If he takes the rook, there is no difference. Queen g4, g6, knight h6 is once again mate. So in the game, black played his queen to g5 to prevent the queen coming for g4. And here Capablanca very calmly retreats his bishop to d3, knowing that his 2 knights and his 2 bishops are the most powerful pieces in this position, and he sacrificed his rook once again. If black takes the rook, there are several good moves for white in this position, and the simplest one is bishop takes g7 with the threat of knight to, of course, knight to f6 check, and after that the game is over. And if f6, white can just simply place queen b3 with the idea of knight takes f6, knight d7 and everything, and these are double attacks and there is no way to defend it. So knight takes f1 is also not possible. If black plays d6, white can just simply place his pawn to h4, and after that black is completely lost. He cannot do anything. He should sacrifice his queen here, but because if he plays queen to d8, white can simply place queen g4 and the game is over once again. And if he sacrifices his queen, I'm sure that white is simply winning because here there is just simple knight takes b4 and the game is over. So this is also lost. In the game, he played knight to e7. He wanted to bring a piece to the defend, and here it was a simultaneous game, and Capablanca maybe played a good move, but it was not the best move in this position. He took the knight, and after this, he win the knight, but instead of this, after knight d7, bishop e7, he could have played h4 once again, and the queen has no good where to go, and this game is completely over because, for example, even if queen f4, white can just simply take e7, and after king h8, something like queen h5, I'm sure it's over for black, so this is all over, and black wins this game very simply. So we saw the ideas of the Danish Gambit, and you should be very careful with black. I'm going to tell you how you can play against this line. First of all, in this position, after d4, e takes d4, c3, Capablanca himself played here pawn to d5. He's counter-attacking in the center, and after e d5, queen d5, c d4, knight to c6, knight to f3, bishop to g4, knight to c3. This is a game between Frank Marshall and Capablanca, and after bishop b4, bishop b2, here Capablanca played an excellent move. Bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3. Of course not queen takes d4, because bishop takes c6, you will lose a queen. But queen to c4, preventing white from castling. And in that game, the game went like this: bishop takes c6, b takes c6, queen e2 check, take, and the game eventually went on to a draw, which was a fair result. And you can play this line. This is playable at even high level. This is one of the ways to play against Danish Gambit. And after dc3, bishop c4, cb2, you can also deny this pawn. But after that, there is a good sequence of moves for black that can regain his development. In this position, black should sacrifice one of the pawns back. He should play pawns to d5 and lure the white bishop into d5 square. You know, in this position, if you play knight f6, white has e5, which is very strong, and you don't have any good squares for your knight. But you play pawn to d5. Of course, white is not taking this pawn with the queen, because trade of queens is very bad for white in this position. But after d5, if white plays e d5, once again you can play knight f6 and you can put your bishop on e7 or d6 and then castle. Black is completely okay. But what happens if bishop takes d5? Now you play knight f6. And you might wonder, wow, that's a blunder, because white is winning a queen with bishop f7. And this is partly true, but black will regain the queen after queen takes d8. Black has bishop to b4 check, discover attack, and white should put his queen back on d2. And after bishop d2, knight d2, I guess the best move for black is rook e8, knight f3, something like knight c6, and this position is roughly equal, so you can play it in your own games. But after bishop b4 check, knight c3, knight f6, knight e2, I already like white's position, because he has castle and knight d5, and this position is very promising for white pieces. I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned a lot of things, and if this is the case, please like the video, write your thoughts and ideas below this video, and subscribe to my channel. Have a good time and have fun.